Friday, I'm Laura Gwyn of Laura Gail Gwyn Properties, and with us today are Derek Rentz and Marie Baker from Pillar to Post.
Hi there.
Hi, everybody.
Right.
And so I thought, given that we had a little bit of a break, I mean, it hasn't slowed down a whole lot, but we have a little bit of a break. It might be nice to be able to schedule a Zoom session so that people can meet you because, I see you, but, so many times people don't get an opportunity to actually see you, meet you.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to ask some personal questions, nothing
Right.
too awfully embarrassing.
Fingers crossed. All right.
And so I'm sure one funny, quick question before we get started. Marie, I don't know if you ever heard this funny joke. I mean, it wasn't a joke at the time, but I always ask, I said, Derek, are you and Marie married?
All the time.
Do you ask that all the time? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not.
Yeah. Well, the funny part is my husband's in law enforcement. And so when people say, oh, your husband was at my house the other day, I always go, oh, because I realize that they mean Derek. And I go, usually when my husband shows up at someone's house, they're not as excited about it.
They're not excited to see him.
Yeah.
Okay. So, whichever one of you want to go first, Derek, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself, your company.
Sure, absolutely. So we're obviously a home inspection company. Marie and I both kind of bought this business from our former employer. He ran it for about 7 years, was very successful. Hired both of us on to basically take up some of the overflow, if you will. Marie answers the phones, handles the bookkeeping. I came on to do inspections. He ultimately moved back home to Montana, so we had the opportunity to buy it from him, and that's what we did. A little bit about my background. Before I became a home inspector, I was a general contractor for 4 years where I did a lot of remodeling, some fairly large additions, decks, fences, everything under the sun really to do with the house. And unfortunately, but fortunately, kind of a blessing in disguise, I got tendonitis, which got so bad to the point I couldn't even hold a hammer anymore and had to look for a different field of opportunity, essentially. And since I already knew everything about houses up and down, I decided to become a home inspector. And that's kind of how I ended up here. Marie, if you want to give your side of things.
Sure. Yeah. So Scott was the gentleman who owned the business before us. And I actually grew up with Scott. His little sister and I had been best friends since about 4th grade. So I've known Scott since I was 13. I actually had background experience with Pillar to Post. I worked for the Pillar to Post. Funny other little fact is I actually don't live in Oregon. I live in Helena, Montana. So when Scott called me, he asked me to come work for him, but I was able to do it still from home, still here in Montana. So I had originally worked for the Helena franchise of Pillar to Post for about 5 or 6 years. And then when the housing market crash from several years ago happened, at that point, my employer was paying me to answer a phone that wasn't ringing very much. So I kind of moved on and went and did some other things. And then Scott called. And at the time, my baby was 1 year out of starting kindergarten. So it gave me an amazing opportunity to go back from working from home and have her with me. And yeah, with my background and experience with Pillar to Post, it was a pretty easy transition in. And then when Scott decided he wanted to sell and move back to Montana, my husband looked at me and said, would you want to buy it? I said, there's no way I could run a company from Montana without having any boots on the ground over there. And about 2 days later, Scott said that Derek was interested in buying it, but he wasn't sure if he could do it on his own. So I called Derek and I said, I know we've not ever met in person yet, but you want to do this? And he's like, heck yeah. So here we are 2 years later, and it's been an amazing journey. Thankfully, Scott had built an amazing reputation, and Derek has just totally catapulted that and done an amazing job of building on the reputation that Scott had built and kind of putting our own stamp on it and putting our own name on it. And we've had amazing relationships with agents like you, Laura, and a lot of other people that have been really loyal and really instrumental in keeping us going, especially as things have gotten a little bit more uncertain with what's happening in the world right now. So yeah, we went into business, and our families have become really good friends. In fact, I probably spend more time talking to Derek's wife than he does these days, because we spend a lot of time on Facebook. You know, I'll have my work computer open and she has hers open, and we've got a Facebook page open, and we chat all day. So
Well,
it's
and this
been
is so great to get to see you. I mean,
yeah.
you are so instrumental. I mean, it's Derek, whatever she's making, it's not enough.
I make the same thing he makes, so.
Okay, good. Well, because it's, you know, it really makes a big difference. I mean, how you have the team structured and the business structured, it does make all the difference in the world. And I don't know if you know this, Marie, Sabrina and I are the only boots on the ground here.
Oh,
Wow.
really?
Yeah, and not very many people know that. But I mean, I have a team of magic, you know, it's kind of
Right.
like Disney. You don't really know what goes on
Right.
behind the
Behind
curtain.
the scenes, yeah.
But Jeanette, my miraculous transaction coordinator, which you email regularly,
Yeah.
she's in Virginia.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Debbie, my miracle marketing gal, she's in Wichita, Kansas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
we are 100% virtual.
It's amazing how technology has shrunk the world, and
Yeah.
how much we can get done with things like this, like these Zoom meetings. And, you know, I've been laughing because with this whole COVID-19, so many people are, you know, packing up their offices and moving home and working from home. And it's been a struggle. You know, my sister-in-law has been really having a hard time with it. That girl has to leave the house. Like, she goes stir crazy when she has to stay home. And she's like, she texted me today and she goes, I'm in my car. I'm not even driving anywhere. I'm just in my driveway. I just have to sit in my car. So, you know, I have been blessed enough to be able to work from home. I know Derek goes crazy on days that he doesn't have anything going on, because he's so used to going and going and going all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, technology definitely has made this process amazingly more simple. And like you said, running a business, and you can really plug into resources that you might not have locally, but you can still tap into those resources all over the country or all over the globe, and have that.